plenty of power is just not enough. But hey, let's face it, this is not your typical old small block. It's an EFI-fed, dual cam, dual chain mod motor. To work on it may seem like the Wright brothers trying to fly an F-14. But guess what? It's not all that intimidating when you think of the dual overhead cam motor as two 4-cylinder motors joined together. Sure, there are lots of steps in the teardown and a few special tools required, but something like a basic cam and spring swap is an easily doable deal and good for 35 to 40 horsepower. Cam to green? Well, it's done pretty much like the old pushrod motor, except you get to do it twice. On a recent trip to Trickflow Engineering, the tech guys showed us how to take the 4.6 to a higher performance level using their twisted wedge heads. They're loaded with improvements over stock, like thicker decks, a better shot at the intake, and much more.
We took the intake valve and we actually flipped the intake valve to the other side of the camshaft. It's a little bit hard to see on the rocker cover side, but if you flip the head around, you can definitely see a huge improvement. If you look at the two chambers, you can see the intake valve got moved from this plane, actually over this plane. The whole chamber is completely different, and it results in a lot more horsepower, a lot better flowing intake port, and the intake valve is actually a straighter shot to the intake port.
Again, there are quite a few steps involved in the swap, but these guys have made the process pretty simple. Part of their job is to test and retest parts, and today's agenda included a whole top-end kit.
Another component that we need to look at in our buildup is the intake manifold. As you can see, the factory intake is a flimsy plastic. It's really not great, especially for power adder applications. The trickflow intake, on the other hand, is cast aluminum, made in the United States, has a throttle body opening that will accept either a 70 or 75 millimeter throttle body. It's fully CNC machined, and you can see the plenum and the runner cross-section are optimized for great mid-range and upper RPM horsepower.
Well, later on in their dyno cell, we peeked over Al's shoulder to see some peak numbers of horsepower and torque. Very impressive for a very impressive new old